Hey folks, my name's Jack, welcome to Peach Guitars, and today you join me actually on location in Peach Guitars. One of my favourite rooms in the store is this. This is kind of the boutique custom shop room, or at least one of, here in the store. And the reason for this is we're going to take a quick look, or rather a more in-depth look, at one of our favourite brands, James Tyler Guitars. As I mentioned there in the intro, we're going to take a little deeper dive into James Tyler guitars. You'd look at them and maybe think, okay, there's another HSS guitar, I think I understand what that's about. But where Tyler starts to differ is when you delve into all this electronic stuff. I'm just plugged straight into a valve amp today. We will do a little bit later on where I'm just DIing straight into the console so you can hear the clarity of the different switching options on this guitar. But I want to just show you how it works in a kind of simple valve amp situation. So I'm playing through a Sir SL15 amp. I have an Ibanez tube screamer on the floor for the occasional boost, but I'm just going to show you the variety of tones I can get with just the guitar and just by changing one switch and turning up and down the volume. So, just to explain what was going on there, the amp's kind of crunchy, so it's kind of a mid-breakup kind of tone. All I was doing was turning up and down the volume control and switching this switch here, which is essentially like a bridge humbucking pickup direct to output switch. So when it's in the up position like this, that's exactly what you're getting. You're getting this bridge humbucker in full series with the volume control and the preamp and mid boost and so on. But it bypasses all of the other stuff, which means you can have a nice preset tone down in the down position, flick to the up position, and you've got bridge pickup straight out. So that preset tone that I'm talking about involves all of this extra electronics down here. So let me try and run through this as succinctly as possible. Global volume control right here. Global 5-way position pickup selector switch right here. These three switches here, these mini toggles, are 3-way, and when they are in the up position, as in pointing this way, you're getting each of these pickups in series. In the middle position, you're getting a split coil version, and I'll explain what that means when it comes to these single coils in a moment. And when it's down, facing this way, it's parallel. So what that means for the bridge humbucker is in the series mode, it's a standard conventionally wound humbucking pickup. It's quite high output pickup, and it means that you can drive the front end of an amplifier pretty hard, at least compared to single coil pickups. But you also have dynamic range and possibility to split that humbucking pickup in the middle or put it into parallel, which gives the same kind of output as a split humbucking pickup, but it's still humbucking in parallel. So there's three different options there for the bridge humbucker. There's three different options for each of these single coils as well. Now, because it's a single coil, you might think, how does that split? Surely it's already split just by nature of it being one coil. There are dummy coils underneath each of these pickups, which gives them noise cancelling capability. So in series, you're hearing a single coil pickup with a dummy coil that doesn't affect the tone, but it does give you hum cancelling. So, as an example of that, let me show you. I'm going to turn the preamp off. I'll come onto the preamp in a moment. Here's just the neck pickup in series mode. Now I'll put it into parallel. Now what you're also hearing in that particular setting is this second switch here, which is a little hard to see on this guitar, but that essentially gives you the two outer pickups, the neck and the bridge humbucking pickup together. So without that, it's just neck pickup. Now that last sound is just the neck pickup in split mode, so it's a true single coil. You'll hear some 60 cycle kind of hum going on, so if I put on the boost from the Tube Screamer, you'll hear it emphasised even more. There's something about using a true single coil as opposed to a stacked or dummy cancelled single coil tone. You get extra harmonics. It's not always appropriate because it is more noisy, but it gives you this air which allows for tones like this. So that's an example of why you might choose to have the split coil on these single coils as opposed to just the full hum cancelling option. Quite a lot of information so far, I know, but bear with me, we're nearly there. The most important part of this guitar's control section is the preamp. So this is where Tylers are, they're very much their own thing. If I take this switch and put it in the down position like it is right now, there's no preamp. It's essentially the same kind of configuration as most other HSS style guitars. When I engage the preamp by pushing this button so that it goes to the raised position, there's a preamp on board, and what that does is essentially not only gives you a little bit of a level boost, but it converts your signal to low impedance, or essentially buffers it. It also gives you the option to add in, via this black control, a mid-range frequency boost. So I'm not going to use the mid boost just yet, but I'm going to show you the difference between the tone with no preamp and then the tone with the preamp on. And you'll hear it's quite a striking difference. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit as well, so it's even more apparent. So that impedance conversion and the slight boost from the preamp itself gives you what I think is easily the most high fidelity version of this kind of guitar configuration tone. So there are a lot of other brands that do these kind of guitars, as I mentioned, but none that sound this way. And the advantage of this, if you're into this kind of thing, is that you can take a really simple kind of guitar setup like we've got today, just a valve amp that's kind of cranked a little bit, and because of the low impedance and the added high and low frequency detail you get from the guitar now, with the preamp on, you can get these really sparkly cleans from a pretty cranked amp just by turning the volume down. And the final trick up this guitar's sleeve, before I get onto the mid boost anyway, as I mentioned before, is the option to add in, via this switch, the two outer pickups together, which means that when you're in any of these three middle positions on the 5-way, you get all three pickups together. And then you have the option of series, split, or parallel for each pickup. If you're still with me, what that means is you can get really interesting combinations. For example, I can split the bridge humbucker, I can have the neck pickup in series, and I can have the middle pickup in parallel, all three on together, with the preamp, with the volume down. Sounds something like this. Now the sum total of all these parts working together is that you get a genuinely unique, clean guitar tone. It works great with gain too, but that's a tone that you'll hear all over recordings from the late 70s, pretty much up to present day in fact, is this unique configuration of all three pickups with the coils in different states of series, parallel or split, with an onboard preamp, with the option to add in a mid-range boost, which sounds like this. Hey folks, let me just interrupt myself and tell you a little bit more about the way we like to do things on the Peach Guitars website. If you head over to the site, you'll notice that every single guitar that we stock is individually listed on the site with its serial number, its weight, and indeed individual photographs of that guitar. So if there's a guitar here, for example, that you want to find out the nth degree of detail about, everything is listed on our website. So be sure to click the link down in the description below, head to peachguitars.com and have all of your questions answered. Back to the studio. There's evidently an awful lot going on with the electronics of this guitar, but hopefully that clarifies a little bit about what each section of the electronics on the control plate is doing. Now you can have fun and start to actually apply this stuff practically. So as I've demonstrated a couple of times already, and I'll just do it once more to show exactly how useful this is. Once you have your bridge humbucker in split mode, your middle pickup in parallel mode, and your neck pickup in series, with a slight bit of preamp boost, and all three pickups on, you can jump to your bridge humbucker, straight to, not straight to output because it's still via the preamp and the volume control, but bypassing all this stuff, which means you can go straight from your nice funky clean tone with all three pickups to a blazing lead tone just by turning up the volume, turning up the mid boost, and changing this switch. And the thing I love about it the most is that because of the nature of these two potentiometer controls, it's gradual. It's as linear as you want it to be. It's not just jumping straight between sound A and sound B. It's still very natural, and you can vary it as much as you need to while still making things a little bit quicker. Okay, so that's a lot of information, as I've said, but Hopefully that makes it a little clearer. The nice thing is that Tyler also offers guitars that aren't quite as full on as this. So if this Studio Elite full preamp and coil configuration isn't your thing, there are models that maybe just give you the preamp without all the series parallel and split options for the single coils and the humbucker. You maybe don't need this blower switch to go straight from bridge humbucker in series to the output to using the rest of the controls. You know, there are many different variants within, and that's all covered by the Tyler range. But these kind of guitars, these Studio Elites with all these options, genuinely give you stuff that you can't get from other HSS style guitar brands. And to further that point even more, I now just want to show you quickly what this sounds like DI'd straight into a recording interface. One of the most famous Tyler tones, which is that Dan Huff clean, which is all three pickups. I'm going to go for the same configuration I've used so far in the video, which is bridge pickup in split mode, middle pickup in parallel, and neck pickup in series. I'm not sure if that's exactly the Dan Huff configuration, but it sounds pretty close to my ear. So now we've dealt with all the tones and the electronics, I'll just address the aesthetic elephant in the room, which is the fact that this guitar looks, in my opinion, amazing. What Tyler are doing here with their burning water finishes, and in particular on this guitar, the kind of faux matching that they've got with the neck. The neck is actually painted with the same technique that the body is, so you can see it's not exactly matching, but it's the same kind of finish and feel as well. Okay, so just quickly moving on from that incredible burning water guitar that you've seen for the duration of this video, I just wanted to highlight a couple of the other models that James Tyler have, which perhaps fit slightly different needs for different budgets and different players. So the one here in my right hand is the Dan Huff signature model. If you're not aware of Dan Huff, he's one of the best guitarists from the 80s period, but still very active to this day as a session player. And it was really he, in conjunction with Tyler, that made this brand what it is, I would say. He was probably the most best known player for using the brand, along with guys like Mike Landau and Lukather as well back in the day, but the relationship with Dan Huff has definitely sustained to the point that he has his own signature model here. Then this other guitar I have here is very different indeed. This is a JTG model, which is at a totally different price point, considerably more accessible, and yet it still retains a lot of the same Tyler aesthetics, a lot of the same Tyler functions. You still have the preamp and the mid boost. You have the same kind of two-post bridge, and in this particular guitar's case, this amazing sparkle finish. Alright folks, so I hope you found this video somewhat useful, and even more so, somewhat interesting, because these guitars really do deserve the attention that we're trying to give them today. The way they sound and the way they feel is just something unlike any other brand that we're very proud to stock. And I have to say that The relationship that John in particular has built up really shows what guitar building and guitar selling and dealing should be about, really. If you want a totally bespoke guitar that covers so many tonal bases, these are one of the best contenders for that, in my opinion. And now I understand exactly what's going on with the guitars and the electronics and the history and all that a little bit better. I have a greater appreciation for them. That's not to say that the other competitor brands don't make equally amazing guitars, and we've covered those in other videos and we'll cover them in future videos as well. If you're after something that covers pretty much every tone you could think of and plays great and feels great and looks great, there are few better options than this right here. And if you're interested in this particular guitar or any of the other Tyler models that we stock, click the link down in the description below to head to our website. If you've enjoyed this video, you found it useful and entertaining to some degree, please hit like. Please drop a comment down below with your thoughts. Apologies for my rambling in this one. I hope that it makes a modicum of sense, but there's a lot to get through, as I'm sure you can appreciate. So thank you for sticking with me. If you want to see more from us in the future, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell so you're notified when new videos go up. And I'll see you again very soon. Take care.